Hi guys, Horace the Sky God here. Today we're going to be checking out Francine Smith's prison sentence. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Francine is many things. A devout wife, loving mother, and arguably the sanest person in the Smith household.
No one complains about the meals I cook. Scraping snot rockets off the shower tiles.
I did emphasize arguably. After tons of research, I found every single nasty crime she's ever committed, more than enough to put her away for a very long time. Making personas and stealing identities is typically Roger's forte, but Francine has definitely dabbled in the art at least a couple of times. The best example is from the episode Fart Break Hotel, where the family had to vacate their home thanks to a hazardous accident.
Stan!
The house must be on fire. I don't see any flames.
Then what is it?
Started. This guy.
Those are some toxic bombs, brother. I thought my parts were impressive. I haven't managed to clear out a house. With practically no need to take care of the family's feeding and laundry and stuff like that, Franny finally gets the chance to relax. Good thing, too, because she really needed it, especially after fantasizing about doing this to the family.
Sometimes I escape to a little place in my head where no one complains about the meals I cook. And there's no more scraping snot rockets off the shower tiles. No more PB&J with the crust cut off.
Yikes. Hell hath no fury than a stressed wife and a mother of three, apparently. Anyway, being stress-free was a nice change of pace for her, but it's not exactly something she's quite used to.
Okay, how do you spend your time?
Years I've just taken care of my family.
Sounds like someone needs to get a life.
Cold. Very cold. But it had to be said, she needs to get a life, and that's exactly what she does. Kind of.
I know who you are.
You do?
Must be Sarah Blanche.
Someone needs to get a life.
Yes! That's me. I am Sarah Blanche.
She ends up getting someone else's life. Leave it to Franny to somehow misunderstand the phrase, get a life. Meanwhile, the real Sarah Blanche was out there barely clinging to life. Or not. By the way, believe it or not, Francine was actually doing a fantastic job tearing it up with Sarah Blanche, Omni-Slab Concrete rep from Chicago.
You tap dance too. Wow, Sarah. How many hobbies do you have?
5.
Scratch that. Anybody would be tearing it up with that kind of crowd. But it didn't matter. This was just the beginning of her new life, and she was planning on living it to the fullest.
Till I die, I'm gonna laugh instead of cry. I'm gonna turn it upside down. I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna play for the sky. Ain't gonna miss a thing.
And she played the Sarah role so well, she's even got Roger surprised.
How the hell does she know how to tap dance?
Because she's Sarah Blanche!
You're loud.
Well, it was all fun and games until things started to get a little bit too real for Sarah Blanche.
Sarah! Where have you been? You have to give your speech.
You want the news, unbiased, straight facts, and we want to give it to you at Straight Air.
She is our closing speaker, Omni-Slab rep, Sarah Blanche.
Yeah, nothing's more fun than making a speech you're absolutely not prepared for. Roger tells her it's time to drop the persona and bolt, but she refuses to go up to give the speech anyway.
I'm here to talk about placement and planned gap structure coordination. Huh?
Boy, oh boy, was this a terrible idea. It's really not too late to make a break for it. We can still go get churros or something.
What I'd really like to talk about is the Chinese threat to our domestic concrete industry.
Okay, it's okay. I didn't like churros anyway. Somehow it gets worse and better at the same time.
1 million Chinese people in China alone. They are our common folks, and they've been going pee-pee in our Coke for years. Out of our red, white, and blue.
What the actual hell? Is there something we don't know about the people who sell concrete? What is the concrete business like? Her racist speech got the attention of some bigwigs who offer her a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I haven't heard someone speak with that much passion since my fat friend discovered Buca de Beppo. I want you to come manage my Portland facility. Say yes, and tomorrow you can fly to your new life in Economy Plus with only one stop in Denver.
I'll save you guys the suspense of wondering if she takes the job and leaves her family or not. She does, in fact, take it. Francine spends the next 10 years in the concrete business, completely stealing Sarah Blanche's identity. Although she comes to regret abandoning her family to chase a career, she returns to the hotel much older, and it turns out the hotel is magic, apparently, giving her the chance to go back in time and just fix things.
We need to talk. I'm you from the future. When did I get Polly Walnut's hair? Don't get in that car.
She listens to herself, goes back to being regular old Francine, and reunites with her family. I don't think the law accounts for things like time traveling, but either way, Francine would still be held responsible for impersonation, looking at 1 year in jail and $2,300 in fines. For someone who loves her kids so much, it's pretty hard to imagine that she'd be capable of child neglect, but apparently something about George Clooney just makes Franny abandon all reasoning. I understand.
My dream is to destroy George Clooney. Rated memo writing bastard!
I mean, if that dude could just Cloon all over me. Dang, she hated Clooney so much that she had the perfect plan for destroying him? Truly despicable one, really.
I know exactly how I'd bring him down. Well, I'd make him fall in love with me, and then I'd break his heart. Watch him cry until his eyeballs bleed!
Golly goober! To think this much hatred sprung up from Clooney stealing what might have been her lucky break in Hollywood.
Here's your room key, and please, have a...
Can I help you folks with your bags?
Yep, he interrupted me and stole my big moment, and...
Not so sure how that was going to be game-changing. Can't tell you for sure, as Franny's definitely out for blood. So much so that she and Stan flew all the way to Prague to go destroy him. Problem is, they left their kids alone without any supervision. And no, Roger does not count.
Boy, when Mom and Dad get back from their trip, they're gonna be pissed you turned the swimming pool into a vineyard.
50 grapevines and 12 tons of soil.
Great, just charge it to my Costco account.
I mean, the guy literally turned a backyard into a vineyard run by adopted children used as slave labor. Not to mention, Haley was dying of cancer, and no one was really doing much about it.
The kids will freeze.
Haley, it's too cold for you out here.
I'm fine.
In the end, Haley did beat cancer, and both parents didn't even know about it one bit. That kind of child neglect is just terrible, though. No joke. Makes the jail time of 5 years and $5,000 seem so little of a punishment. But since she neglected 2 kids, not sure if an alien counts, Franny would definitely be getting twice the time and the fine. Next, we have the crime some of us have committed at some stupid point in our life of a punishment. But since she neglected 2 kids, not sure if an alien counts, Franny would definitely be getting twice the time and the fine. Next, we have the crime some of us have committed at some stupid point in our lives, myself included. Larceny! It all went down in the episode Crotch Walkers, when Steve and his friends went shopping for their gardening club.
I guess we have no choice but to steal it. Okay, so Toshi's in, I'm in, you guys in?
Transform your newsletter into its very own mobile app and allow your readers to install it directly on their home screen.
We're gonna do it.
Of all the things he could have stolen on his first shoplifting experience, a tomato cage? Heck, I'm sure the store owner probably didn't bother calling the cops because of how lame that is. Anyway, you know how these things go. You do it once, get a taste of the rush, and the rest is history.
That was awesome! What a rush! I want to rip something off! In time, fellows. But you're just beginners.
Just like the saying goes, stealing candy from a baby, the boys decided to give it a different twist. Stealing candy from an old man's store. Oh, and get this, the old man's name is Baby.
And that, Mr. Baby, is why I vastly prefer a good round of marbles.
Back in my day, all we had to have fun was sleepy hobos and fire ants.
It was actually going pretty well, with Steve being the charming distraction while the others did the swiping. But just before they could nail their getaway, Steve got too confident.
Hold it right there, son.
Bored!
What's in your pocket there? And how about your other pocket?
I'm sure there's a joke around there somewhere, but that's a low-hanging fruit I'm not going to bother touching. So how does Francine come into this?
Thank you for letting Steve off with just a warning, Mr. Baby.
Technically, just a pop operation. The bigger corporate stores won't be so forgiving with your boy.
Steve will learn his lesson.
In a normal situation, Steve would be looking at months of detention or a good old spanking. Instead, Francine had something even more treacherous in mind.
A secret room? What is this stuff?
Things I've stolen over the years.
Holy shit, I remember
successfully.
this
Yep, beautiful and innocent-looking Franny is a master in the art of pilfering, ergo a sticky finger.
You're telling me you shoplifted all this stuff?
I haven't gotten caught in 20 years.
Wow.
Pretty impressive record, if I do say so myself. Steve's newfound knack, or thrill rather, for stealing meant something for Francine. This was going to be the thing that they could bond over. A mother, son, Bonnie, and Clyde.
I can't believe we're getting ready to shoplift together.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's lift some khakis.
As far as terrible parenting goes, this might not be so bad. I mean, she gets to connect with her son and all that. So they started their escapade in small steps, stealing something small, like a backpack. But the bags to hold on to their stolen goods acquired, they moved on to other things pretty quickly. Up next, Franny showed Steve the old switcheroo. Quick tip about the old switcheroo, it only works on items without a barcode. Next came the not-so-fun part of stealing. Remember the little toy car Steve swallowed? Well, it had to come out eventually.
What?
Not even gonna ask how he managed to swallow that big old truck, or how it came out of the exit. Steve and Francine were on a roll, though. They went on to steal a megaphone for Haley, a fishbowl for Klaus, a doll for Roger, and a wristwatch for Stan. Of course, Stan wasn't exactly into the whole shoplifting thing.
I can't believe what I'm hearing! Shoplifting? Seriously, guys? I may not have the authority around here I once had, but damn it, I still know what's right!
I guess it must be hard to take someone who sounds like that seriously, because they definitely didn't. Scared she was gonna lose the one thing that made her son tolerate her presence, she decided that they'd do one last big job.
I'm talking about hitting the gash.
Finally ready?
No, Steve. We're ready.
Mind you, this was the gash they were talking about. A store with proper security and severe punishments for shoplifters. Still, it did make for a nice final heist.
I'll create a distraction while you run a reverse snatch and grab down the cardigan table.
Got it.
I think there's something wrong with this changing room.
And that's a wrap. Or so she thought. Francine, where's Steve?
Excuse me. Have you seen my beautiful boy?
Yeah, he was here, but our loss prevention unit has him now.
Well, let's be fair, it was only a matter of time till this happened. Besides, as far as movie cliches go, it has to be the final heist that goes wrong. It's gotta be. And now Steve is paying the painful price somewhere in Venezuela.
Hi there, shoplifter. Welcome to the gash. Sweatshop.
Now that's a crazy business idea right there. Using shoplifters to make your merchandise is simply crazy. That's basically free labor, which might be good for the business owner, but not so much for Steve.
Excuse me, miss?
Hi, how can I help you today?
A union representative.
Well, my name's Harper, if you need anything.
And escaping was definitely out of the question. So the situation being this dire, Francine was left with no other choice but to rescue him. She climbed every mountain, searched high and low, forded every stream, until she found the sweatshop. Finding it was one thing, infiltrating it is another.
Hola. I'm an inspector from the government. Your sweatshop isn't cruel enough.
Ridiculous! As you can see, our workers may pray for freedom, but they hope for death.
Huh. Be real, can't believe that worked.
Let's get out of here.
What about my sensor tag?
This is me we're talking about. The woman who once crotch-walked an oven out of a Sears.
Oh, dear.
Thanks to her cover, she was able to
How
get
do
to
you
Steve.
fit an
Now
oven
came the even more
inside
vital
your-
and difficult part of the rescue
I'm not
mission,
gonna finish
smuggling
that.
him out. And there was only one way that she knew how.
Thanks for the access. I'll be sure to give a favorable report.
Thank you.
I don't care what kind of prison or hellhole I'm trapped in, but if that was my only means of escape, then I don't think I'd want to be saved. I'd risk a lifetime of suffering instead. On to the punishments then. Francine is going to get charged with larceny, and that goes for a year in jail and $2,500 in fines these days. Multiply that by how many items she stole, and that's 9 years and $22,500. Then there's impersonating a government official, which is another year and $2,300, and then finally aiding and abetting Steve's crimes nets her another year and $2,500. A lot of mothers don't really want to see their kids grow up from being dependent little twerps to sassy teenagers who think that they're too old for their moms. Francine is obviously one of those mothers, and unlike others who try to strengthen the bond with their kids, she does something downright disgusting.
You're a one-woman dairy farm.
I know, there's nothing wrong with pumping some breast milk in the middle of the night in the basement, but wait till you hear why she's doing it.
I pump a little breast milk now and then and sneak it into Steve's food. Steve needs it for his health.
I don't care what kind of health Steve needs it for, but Steve says yes!
Okay, your secret is safe with me.
So gross!
Mom, why? But that's when things start to get weird, because with Steve off the breast milk, he began to notice a significant drop in his performance in school activities, especially during an important play. And like a drug addict looking to score his fix, he ran back to Mommy just like she planned.
I just need a little bit, just to get my head right.
Of course.
I still want to stop. Think we should wean me off gradually.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times. It never works. Case in point.
Got it going on. And wait, did I say mom? I meant Oedipus's wife. There is nothing wrong. My wife is probably not my mom.
Pretty soon, he was completely hooked on the dirty dairy, claiming it was just a temporary measure until the school play was over.
Oh.
Milk!
I didn't.
Listen, in 2024, we're not overdrafting no more. If you didn't know, Clio is a cash advance app where you can get up to 200.
That much milk. How is she producing that much milk? I don't think bodies are meant for that. Not like I would know, but anyway, the day of the play.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the strongest now?
He finally came, and by then Steve could barely go a minute without his fix.
I don't need burps. I need breast milk.
I didn't bring any.
You always have it on you.
Start the play.
But, Maestro, it's 5 minutes till curtain.
I said start the play!
Well, the audience certainly got a show, that's for sure. In the end, Franny and Steve are ostracized by the family and the whole town. Not enough punishment in my book. What she did to Steve is technically child abuse, and that goes for 10 years and a $10,000 fine to boot. As for the public indecency, add another 10 years for good measure. We're already halfway in, guys, and it's not looking fine and dandy for poor old Franny. Granted, 41 years in jail and $37,100 in fines might not be so much right now, but ladies and gents, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's about time to hash out the heavy hitters that'll make her spend a couple of lifetimes behind bars. Family is everything to Francine, so much so that she's willing to do crazy things for her sibling, including aiding and abetting. Of course, I'm talking about her schmexy sister Gwen.
She's a
Can't wait to see my sexy aunt, who I'm not related to by blood.
But Gwen is not as innocent as she looks because she is a hardened criminal.
Problem is, Aunt Gwen is a convicted criminal, and all she ever does is use Mom. The last time she visited, she rented a car in your name and drove it through her bookie's apartment.
I guess with that kind of record, it kind of made sense why Gwen's visit was stirring up some tension. And for good reason, because she came with a truckload of trouble, as Haley suspected.
What brings you to town? I hope you're not on the lam or anything.
I need an alibi. That's my probation officer. I've lived here for 18 months.
What?
$10 says Franny will cave and cover for Gwen. Any takers?
So, you claim you've lived here for
18 months. I've been teaching my sister how to walk again after her trolley car accident.
Dang it, I thought I knew how to lie.
So, I guess there's no way you could have been in Houston last month selling fake cell phones. I need to check your purse for narcotics.
Oh, Gwen! Thank you for bringing the sweetener I asked for.
I saved right there. And it was apparently enough to convince the parole officer.
Say that it's clear you are not involved in any criminal activity.
And just in time for her to resume her life of crime, except this time she does it in Francine's house.
Drive safe!
Put the fake phones in her room. She'll show you where it is. I'm going to be doing business around here for a little while.
And when the opportunity came for Francine to do the right thing, she does this instead.
Truck full of fake phones?
Gwen, the less you know, the better.
Okay, terrible as it sounds, I think those are really wise words to live by. Just not the kind Francine should live by in this situation.
Mom, you need to see what Gwen put in the garage.
Show me new car.
Sweatshop. You can't let her do this here.
I'm surprised at you. We're not Indian. We're Sri Lankan.
Oh.
We're Aborigines studied heritage. I'm just not into it.
Haley was right. This was something that needed to be nipped in the bud.
I've dropped Psychology 101 6 times, so I know exactly what you're doing.
Not so sure how failing a class 6 times suddenly makes someone an expert, but preach. Anyway, Gwen's troubles were growing by the minute.
I needed to put this human liver in the fridge.
Why do you have a human liver?
I have nothing to do with it. So I'm gonna wash up, and then you're driving me to Chimdale to sell that thing.
If you think holding on to a harvested human liver for Gwen was bad enough, wait until you see how the sale went.
Why do you still have the liver?
I saw the liver, and I thought, maybe I could have it all. Drive!
Remarkably, being dragged along as a getaway driver for a botched organ sale was not enough of a wake-up call, so Haley had to take matters into her own hands.
Gwen, I'm sick of this. You have never once done anything for her. Huh. She told you that? So it's time for you to go.
Fine. I'm gone.
Well, at first it looked like everything was finally getting back to normal, except it wasn't, because Gwen was gunning to burn down their old high school. Plot twist, you remember that fire that Gwen allegedly started back in their high school? Well, it turns out Franny was the one who actually burned it down, and Gwen took the rap for it. That's why Franny's been covering for her all this time. Anyway, the truth now out in the open, Francine and Haley rushed to stop Gwen, and just in the nick of time, too.
You're here. It'll make it a lot easier to frame you.
Well, in the nick of time to be framed, that is. Thankfully, Haley was able to use her mastery of Psych 101 to get the two sisters to reconcile until things kinda went up in flames.
Oh, sis, I'm so sorry.
I love you, too. Smoke 'em, please, pipe?
Spark it up. No!
Guess history just has a way of repeating itself, huh? And guess who ended up taking the fall again?
The important thing is, we've let go of the past.
I get out of here, I'm coming for you, sis. I will have my revenge.
Tough luck, huh? And to think Francine got away with a suspended sentence thanks to Stan calling in a favor. Well, not on my watch. Legally, Franny would be looking at a year in jail and $2,500 for aiding and abetting. Since she did that on multiple counts, in total to 4 years and $10,000. Let's not forget the 2 counts of arson. That'd go for 20 years in prison and...
If you're ever trying to cash until your next paycheck, listen up. Last month, I got hit with the fattest overdraft fee, and clearly I was...
$25,000 each. I gotta say, a lot of Francine's crimes tend to revolve around her boring, restricted lifestyle as a mother, and when she lets loose, oh, she really lets loose. Let's start at the top. When Stan needed someone to watch Francine while he went away on a sleep apnea contest, the only person available was none other than Jeff. So you already know that things were gonna go badly.
You made it. Over the years, I've calculated the precise amount of stimulus Francine needs without really going wild.
Like the bird.
Now, pay close attention, because you're about to get a crash course in Francine control.
And cue the agonizing list of almost impossible rules to keep up with.
No. Sorry, I put everything on the card without really going
away on a sleep
without really going wild.
Like the bird.
Now, pay close attention, because you're about to get a crash course in Francine control.
And cue the agonizing list of almost impossible rules to keep up with.
No cinnamon. Do not let her put on flat shoes. Do not let her get wind in her hair. None of those clown scarves. No Israeli couscous.
And it goes on and on and on. Trust me, each one more impossible than the last, and that don't even make any sense.
This is too much to remember. You've been talking for hours.
Don't worry, I put everything on the card.
You can count on me, Mr. S.
Ooh, that is some foreshadowing if I've ever smelt it. And I've dealt plenty before. So fast forward to later that night when Francine and Jeff went out for dinner.
2 tap waters.
And a white wine spritzer.
Wine and bubbles. How's the lighting under the table?
The best in all of Langley.
You can bring the spritzer!
What are you doing down there?
Yeah, so that went on repeatedly for a while until Francine caught on. I mean, how much more obvious could it be?
Francine date night do's and don'ts? No pickles over 3 inches? No Cocoa Puffs or any other cereals?
Is that what it looks like?
I think there's probably an interesting backstory on that no pickles over 3 inches rule, but you can figure that one out for yourself.
Mr. S just wants to keep you from going wild.
I haven't gone wild in a long time.
Uh-oh, that does not sound good. Not good at all.
I'm going wild! Truck jump!
Oh, shit! Sure, you're probably thinking that climbing onto a moving truck is very low on the list of wild things. Well, how about this for dem apples?
Another round!
Woo! Francine!
Yeah! Perfect!
Heck, I'll do you one better. How about this?
Coyote ugly! Coyote ugly! Woo! Let me kick your beer!
Mrs. S, what are you doing?
And poor Jeff was helpless to stop her increasing wildness. Instead, Francine managed to unlock the wild beast within him as well. And boy, did they party hard. You know, I just can't help but wonder what that guy's intentions are for the little lady crocodile. Not to mention why Francine and Jeff would even need a tractor. Makes sense, I guess. Can't argue with drunken reasoning. Anywho, time for the climax of their wild night out.
Let's show a human being the true meaning of fear.
Delmonico?
Francine! Turns out the person they tried to rob was Francine's acquaintance and dealer of drugs. So they decided to follow him to hang out with his dry cleaner. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that the dry cleaner's a little bit crazy.
Hates washing machines. Mr. Rick, it's me, Delmonico. Washing machines don't knock on doors, Mr. Rick.
Scratch that, mega crazy. But hey, it's meant to be a wild night, right?
We sit around, we huff dry cleaning chemicals, we have a scintillating conversation. Nobody's allowed to turn into a washing machine. I will take care of business! Second rule, you speak when I have the knife to your throat. You have the floor, m'lady.
Mr. Rick?
Okay, clearly things were starting to slowly get too spicy for the pepper, and Francine was wise enough to realize this.
This guy is giving me bad vibes. The toilet's right here, and the toilet scrubbing brush is all the way over there. I think we should go home now.
This is my first time getting wild.
But Jeff was not on the same page. Can't blame him, though. It was his first night going wild, and it was going to end with a bummer.
I'm not going back to my cage. I'm flying straight to the sun.
Yeah, not the best of analogies considering how it ended for the last person who did that, but go Jeff!
It's game time!
Icarus?
It's hot potato with a loaded gun. My dear friend Tom Sizemore taught me this game.
Sounds fun, except the loaded gun part, but I digress.
Tetrachloroethylene? Tetrachloroethylene? No? Whoa!
Also, I very much doubt inhaling deep whiffs of whatever chemical that is a part of the rules of hot potato, much less a loaded gun. And for good reason. Might end up blowing someone's brains out or something.
Psych! Could be a washing machine.
I'm so sorry, Deltok.
Now I have to tell his 13-year-old girlfriend!
We're gonna call the cops right now.
Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
I need you to make some...
What are we gonna do?
I'll call my fixer. He'll get us out of this.
We'll cover up this murder. I'll go back to our beautiful evenings.
Show of hands if you know who this fixer is gonna end up being.
I need you to make some hot jasmine tea. The flavor? Get out of town. It's like I'm drinking a warm summer night.
Sounds like I shouldn't have it.
Comment down below if you guessed Roger right, because it'll be a lot of comments. What else could go wrong here?
Oh, it's so bloody. This is a problem. This blood has to disappear without a trace. I'll Google how. Phone.
I'm not surprised, but in his defense, to fix some problems, you first have to make it worse.
Oh, here we go.
911, what's your emergency?
There was a murder. But don't you worry, it's being handled by me and the other killers.
Patrol car's been dispatched to your location.
Well, not everything worked out the way we thought it would.
Okay, there's no defending him at this point anymore.
I declare this situation fixed.
I gotta find a new dry cleaner.
Judging by the way Roger spells fixed, it's no wonder he can't fix anything. With Roger now gone, the task of getting rid of the body fell on Franny and Jeff, and they came up with a pretty wild solution in the end.
Hey, boys! I'd like to report beautiful ladies in sundresses.
Great police work, people. Tax money well spent right there. Unfortunately, that's not how things would end in real life. Sure, it's not their fault the dry cleaner died, but they still tampered with the evidence, and that's a nasty 20 years in jail right there. Then there's the matter of other crimes committed while running wild earlier that night. A year and $2,500 for assault, 20 years and another $2,500 for stealing a tractor, and another 20 years and $100,000 for armed robbery.
Word? I mean, I guess that's reasonable.
A fine line between playing pretend and being a fraud, a distinction that rears its ugly head in the episode Widow's Peak. You see, in that episode, Francine joins Roger in one of his eccentric adventures, and this time they go out pretending to be widows!
I love the widow game.
Okay, so let me brief you on the widow game. Basically, Francine and Roger run around town dressed as grieving widows and getting these free stuff from people out of pity. Now, I know what you're thinking. What a clever idea. Why didn't I think of that myself? I mean, look at all the free stuff they're getting.
Since my husband died, I've been so overwhelmed learning what different things cost.
For a widow, it's on the house.
Apparently, the old widow game isn't just good for getting old ham.
Since my husband died, I've been so overwhelmed learning what different things cost.
For a widow, it's on the house.
Apparently, the old widow game isn't just good for getting old ham. It slices, dices, and makes you feel pretty good about your vices. Also, it gets you a free ride in a Lamborghini.
I can't let you test drive a Lamborghini. You have no jobs, no credit.
We're widows.
And I get the suspicious feeling that they won't be returning that Lambo in one piece, or at all for that matter, but the perks of being a widow doesn't just stop there.
For the land of the free, the brave widows.
It's an amazing feat getting to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, but it's even more amazing being allowed to sing a Widows remix. Next, the joyful yet supposedly grieving duo take their joyride to the airport.
We're widows! Good luck finding love again! Love? I'm trying to get laid!
If being a widow can get the cops off your tail, I wonder if it can get you a free get-out-of-jail card. But you know what else it can get you? A free plane ride to Denver. Arguably more useful.
To Denver.
Oh, widows.
But we just remembered our favorite restaurant is in St. Louis.
And we're widows.
Scratch that. Free flight anywhere, apparently. Although it's nice to know that not everyone falls for the sappy widows game.
Spicy Italian with the works. Oh, and add avocado.
Avocado's $1 extra.
Even for widows?
Dang capitalists. Always upping the price of avocados. Well, it was all fun and games until Francine met an old friend who also happens to be a real widow.
Oh, crap. Here comes a taco.
It's me, Bunny. Bunny Sanders.
You look so different. How are things?
I'm a dancing taco. I had to take this job after my husband died.
Widows!
Yeah, totes and approps, Roger.
How? On a mission. I just wish I'd been prepared for life after John, you know. Every day is a brutal struggle.
These are gross.
I know the lady's situation is all sad and whatnot, but dang did she nail that sign spinning. Wait, did you see that? Anyway, what she said really got to Francine, and I mean big time.
Oh, Stan, you're back! It was awful. I saw Bunny Sanders and she was dressed like a taco.
Just because you lack the balls to mix it up doesn't mean you have to knock someone else for taking a risk.
The reality of just how mean and inconsiderate playing the Widows game was finally starting to hit Franny, and she was not taking it well.
Let's go down to the graveyard and give him the old dig him up, I want to see his face one last time. Ugh, a support group. What's fun about this?
It made me realize a widow's life isn't all Lambos and ribeyes.
Glossing over the fact that Roger was just suggesting to exhume some rando just for fun, there are...
Years ago, journalism was all about presenting facts and putting them in context.
A lot of ways to overreact in Francine's situation, but going to a support group specifically made for widows takes the cake.
We're all badly shaken by Sanders' death. We don't need this.
I do. What if Stan actually gets killed? So I'm prepared if it does happen.
I'm not sure how any of that makes sense, but okay. Naturally, it was a matter of time before things escalated, and by that, I mean Francine went bonkers deep in her trying to feel what it's really like to be a widow phase. Yes, she actually got a sucky job at a diner. No offense to any people who work at diners. I appreciate your service. And she just kept working there even when Stan got back.
She's really acting like I'm dead. How did you end up here?
Yeah, it was gross. She took the bus.
Stan had to snap her out of it by pretending to be a widower, getting on the same page with her, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, she was all good by the end and quit playing the Widows game, except realistically, that kind of stuff won't fly so easily. Fraud already nets 10 years in jail, and 5 counts of it ain't cheap. Not to mention blowing up the shop that was stingy with the avocado, that's 20 years in prison and $25,000 for arson. Speaking of which, taking care of a family is a daunting task for most mothers, especially if that family includes an immature husband, a pot-addicted daughter, a dorky son, and a psychotic alien. Pretty understandable why she'd need some means of relief. Too bad it's in the form of arson.
Got him.
Okay, let's back up a bit. It all began when Stan finally got the for most mothers, especially if that family includes an immature husband, a pot-addicted daughter, a dorky son, and a psychotic alien. Pretty understandable why... Okay, let's back up a bit. It all began when Stan finally got to fulfill his childhood fantasies of attending a fire station open house. I didn't even know they had.
I love you. Fire station open houses! Fire station open house, Francine! Come on, come on, come on!
Needless to say, he did more than just attend. Aside from ditching Francine, he went on to be a big menace.
So, we've gone over some basic fire safety.
Why is fire so hot?
Dumb question. Maybe because it's burning?
And I mean a real big menace. But to be fair, that was a pretty dumb question. Of course, fire is hot because it's red. Duh! That's like Science 101. Anyway, a raffle draw competition for who gets to be be an honorary firefighter for the week takes place, and you wouldn't believe who won.
Please let this pancake be my ticket. Who has 31?
I think that's me.
Naturally, Stan did not take that well at all. You know, normally, normal husbands would normally be happy for their normal wives in normal situations, but not Stan. In fact, he had a lot to say about Francine stealing his thunder.
I've always longed to be a firefighter, and I was so close. See, little Benedict Arnold hypnotized me with her long legs into forgetting there was a raffle.
Then he proceeded to demonstrate just how much of an expert he would be as a firefighter.
Haley, turn on the stove. Steve, time me. Time!
Funny how he could have beat the world record of firefighting if he had just turned off the stove in less than a second, but whatever. Francine, being the supportive wife that she is, decides to let Stan become the honorary fighter in her place. However, it didn't take long for Stan to come back complaining.
It's not like my dreams at all. I thought it would be 60% fighting fire. They got me cooking casseroles round the clock, and I think there bullying me. Is casserole a compliment?
I mean, I don't know what he was expecting, but I'm pretty sure it takes months or even years of training to actually fight fires, but I digress.
The only thing I get to do is drive the truck. I can only use it to go to Trader Joe's for more casserole ingredients.
I don't care what he says. Driving a fire truck to the supermarket is still a thing to do. Clearly it wasn't enough for Stan, and it was only a matter of time before the rest of the family started to feel his frustration, so Francine comes up with a devious plan.
A little fire is all he needs. This'll do. Got matches in here somewhere.
Yeah, you guessed it right. The plan was simple. Start a small controlled fire, let Stan put it out so he feels satisfied and gets over his firefighting fantasies. Unfortunately, no one expected Francine to be entranced by the felonious flames.
Hi.
Stan!
Okay, glossing over again how that was starting to look oddly. At least the plan worked. Stan was none the wiser. Problem is, apparently arson is pretty exhilarating, and Francine was starting to show signs of getting hooked.
More crepes, is that anyone?
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna get to go on calls.
Well, no one else in the family seemed to notice Francine took in literal fire. Klaus picked up on her weird vibes, but expecting Klaus to give good advice is like expecting a fish to survive out of water.
So long as it doesn't become a destructive fixation for you, this could be a classic two birds, one stone situation.
How cigarettes taste good and suppress your appetite to keep you skinny?
Way to make something as terrible as smoking seem so positive. How does he do it? So Franny decides to up the stakes a bit from meager dumpster fires to a big old barn.
No one will miss this thing.
And just like before, Stan ends up putting it out, except this time he somehow has gotten profound knowledge of fire investigation in the span of just a couple of days.
This spot tells me she's a woman overshadowed by a bigger personality at home. She's always making sacrifices.
Can't tell what's more hilarious, that Stan could identify those traits from a burnt barn, or that he was oblivious to the fact that he was basically describing Francine.
Go deeper. Drinks to cope. She's adopted. Fell down a well as a child. Stints in acting. Had her vagina displayed in a museum. By the looks of it, she's just getting started.
Like seriously, how much more obvious could it be that it was Francine? But that's Stan for you, I guess. Husband of the year. Just like Stan said, Franny was just getting started.
Californian.
The Griffin House! But it was only a matter of time before her philandering with flames almost came to light.
What are you doing here?
Get for this!
Yeah. Right, and she was just about to kiss the fire. Talk about extreme. As usual, Stan barely notices anything odd.
I'm the lead investigator. Pretty concerning. I've done zero training. Won't stop me from catching this crook. Though the chapter of my life as a firefighter is ending, I cherish the fact that the memories and friends I made along the way.
And you'd think Stan retiring Francine would kick the fire-starting habit. After all, she only started doing it to support her husband, right? Wrong. The match had only begun to be lit. There was no stopping the flame queen, flame empress. I'll think of a better one.
Hey, Stan, what was your favorite fire from this week?
Oh, man, there were so many.
There were so many. And more to come.
Crazy much? So Franny rushes out to see yet another fire. Like burning the patty on the grill wasn't sacrilegious enough. Thankfully, Stan puts it all together finally.
You dropped? Wait, no!
But it was too late. The flame envoy had already started another fire at the abandoned warehouse where they got married.
feels good.
Not gonna lie.
Okay, that doesn't sound so fun
Francine
anymore. I
is a
guess it's a good
psycho.
thing Stan set up to talk her out of it.
You only became an arsonist because I pushed you toward it.
Friend of the flame. Or fire.
Take it out on the kids.
You do take it out on the kids.
Ah, the fire fricker. I don't not cuss for you, I do it for me. Thankfully, Stan managed to get through to her before things get way more overboard, but I'm afraid that's not how things work in reality. Arson's a pretty serious crime, and Franny would be looking at 20 years in prison and $25,000 in fines per count. That brings a whopping sum of 120 years and $150,000. Well, all things considered, I think Francine got off pretty easy compared to the rest of the family. Sure, a total of 336 years in prison is nothing to scoff at, not to mention the $377,100 fine, but look at the bright side. She can just hire Roger to don a lawyer persona and take care of it.
Now she's screwed.
And if you think that's crazy, just click on the next video and see if the next character is in just as much trouble.
Oh, he's in more trouble, the next character. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.